Why didn't you say one?
Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Really? We got AJ, Eric, and Rudo here live on an Avalanche off day to talk a little bit of around the league playoffs, talk the Avs themselves and what they have to do through the rest of their series too. I wanted to start here.
Holy.
That's a lot of comments right there. Are these playoffs really boring this year?
Yeah, Eric. Are they really boring this year?
Some series, you mean?
Yeah. If you look at the bracket,
yeah.
of the 7 series that have played at least 4 games, you have one sweep, and all of the rest of them are 3-1. There are no 2-2 series unless Dallas does it tonight against Vegas.
Well, you're right. You know, maybe it was more like I needed a night off or whatever, but I have to be honest. Like the 3-0 game, Rangers and Walsh, I didn't look at.
Why would you?
That's my point.
Let's be honest.
Did I need a break or is it boring?
The Capitals are just terrible. Like that series is a beast of its own making.
Islanders and it was 3-0 Carolina. I was like, I watched the overtime. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just saying.
But that's what I'm saying. There are series that don't have interesting storylines, right?
Yeah. I love hockey. That's not the point. You're right. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe we'll ramp up here.
I don't think so. I think the last gasp of teams like the Islanders was their game 4. So,
well, I mean, Washington was definitely.
I mean, they never should have been in the playoffs in the first place. Come on, let's be real.
Yikes.
Obviously, we're an Avs pod, so
there's going to be some tinted glasses there.
Well, we're like very pro Avs about plenty of stuff, but I will say, like, at least the series has been interesting to watch. The games themselves, they haven't always been close because the Avs have kind of started to kick the shit out of them.
Yeah.
But, like, interesting to watch.
And I think that's true of some other series. The Canes-Islanders series have had close games.
Tampa Bay and Florida has been a fun series to watch.
But the results are all just kind of going the way you expected.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to follow a little bit Toronto versus Boston because I love the drama of the Toronto, like the city. It's just, there's a lot of drama. So I have to admit,
the city of Toronto
is one a little bit.
Microseconds from melting down at every moment. Yeah. So that's fair.
So that one I haven't missed a beat, but I know it's like, not because it's high excitement, just because it's high drama, like meaning like the off-ice stuff, like the media comments, the player comments,
I mean, Mitch Marner getting tag teamed from teammates sitting on the bench of Austin Matthews is berating him, and then William Nylander, but he's trying to say something back to him, and then William Nylander says, "What? Just stop
whining, bro."
He said, "Just stop whining, bro. It's not Junior."
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. And I did fall asleep Kings Oilers a couple times. It was late.
It was 1-0 hockey game.
I actually love this question. Which 3-1 series are you more confident about? Yeah, Nuggets or Avs?
Nuggets for sure. I don't even think it's that close.
Is this because of
both
the 11 straight wins?
It would be that, yeah.
Okay.
They lost.
The Jokic Nuggets have owned the Lakers.
Okay. Even though the Lakers have Anthony Davis playing great and LeBron James, and the Winnipeg Jets have Connor Hellebuyck collapsing into himself like a dying star?
There's just too much randomness in hockey.
I just don't see, like, the Nuggets losing 3 more times is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, 3 more in a row. Like, even if they push it to, like, a further, like, Game 6, Game 7, I don't expect them to lose.
The possibility of the Nuggets losing twice at home is tough for me in that one. Well, that's the one where I'm like, eh. Whereas the Avs, it's like they have to win in Winnipeg twice if things get wild. They also haven't closed out a series in Denver in
long time. Yeah.
like 15 years. Like it's been.
They always do.
It might even be longer than that. It might even be like 2004 since they've closed.
I don't know.
Closed a series in Denver.
Yeah.
Like won a series in Denver. They've lost some.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, exactly. My bad. But having not, because my roommate's a season ticket holder, and I know last year he was lamenting to me, I just want to see handshakes, man. Just one time. I want to see handshakes where I'm not going home sad about it. I want to watch the other team be sad while they go through a handshake line. And then he watched Game 7 where Seattle beat Colorado, and it was just like,
Tough, buddy.
Can we get this man a handshake line? Although I think he would probably take them closing the series tomorrow and not having to deal with it.
Most likely.
Well, yesterday there was like in the American League a handshake line. Kyle Clifford went after your mama
I didn't see that.
in the handshake line after.
Oh man, that was spicy.
Yikes! I'm not sure what was said, or I don't know. Just saw it.
I do want to bring it back to our original topic here, though. Is this fine? Are you happy with this first round? It just happened to play out this way this year.
Look, the Islanders and the Predators both had epic collapses in the third periods of games.
Christ, the Predators. Oh, my God. How did you lose that game?
I'm just going to say there's that little piece of me that after what happened earlier this year in Nashville with the Avalanche, that watching it, I was kind of like, that little petty part of my heart that just found it hilarious. Because Preds fans were, all 17 of them that were in my mentions that day, were so obnoxious about it. And I was like, it's November hockey. What is happening right now? But it was so annoying to me at the time that watching that happen yesterday, I was just kind of like...
having a little giggle about it.
I did have a little bit of a giggle. I definitely did.
Man, 8 seconds. 8 seconds.
God.
From a playoff win.
I mean,
Can't pull
Colton
it
Sisson's
off.
hitting the post
Oh, that was unreal.
on the empty net.
Yeah,
That's the moment that I would be haunted by. Not the fact that they got it done after that. That's a good team, but it's that moment.
And you watch him after they win it immediately in overtime, sitting on the bench like, oh no, not like this. Yeah, it's okay, Tiff. My shirt is too small for me. It's actually true. I got this shirt in like 2018, and I've put on like 60 pounds since then. So
Just be cool, homies.
That is funny.
It's okay to make a joke fucking once. You don't need to make it over and over and over and over again. It's fucking rude.
Just be cool, homies.
it's all good. Anyway, these series are weird to me. Some of them are weird to me. Some of them are not that weird to me, to be honest. But
Off to a great start here.
But look at like the Avs series, right? They're one of the few where the lower seed is actually in the driver's seat in the series. Mm-hmm. We've talked a lot about how people want to see the 1-8 seeding matchups. Would it really have made that much difference this year? To be honest, I mean, I know that the Avs would have gotten Edmonton. I know, but
well, that's where you look at it, and you're like, two teams that are on the verge of advancing
could have been playing in the first round.
Well, and you look at it from Winnipeg's perspective, okay?
Yep.
I actually don't know who the Preds would have gotten, but it wouldn't have been Colorado, which I think is the point. And the problem that you have every year with the current format of 100-point teams are against each other in the first round.
Yep.
And
That's dumb.
that always sucks. Of course, it had been 4-5. Edmonton, Colorado, 2 100-point teams would have played each other.
But slice it. I mean, I think it just
But I think there needs to be an actual is home ice enough of a reward these days for getting second place in your division? Because you look at it, that all divisions are not created equally, of course.
That's definitely true. The Pacific sucks.
Well, because we've talked about this off air. If the Avs win this series, their reward is Dallas or Vegas.
That feels like the de facto conference final, doesn't it?
If Edmonton wins their series, their reward is a Vancouver team with no goaltender, or
A bad Nashville
or
team.
a Nashville team that is way in over its head. It almost feels on paper, it feels like that should be a free pass to a conference final.
It does.
Whereas, I'm sorry, but I would take Winnipeg in a series against any of current form Vancouver with no goaltender, Nashville, and LA. And Winnipeg is going to go home in the first round.
Tough for them.
I just and like every year you can look at these things, right, and say that. How many times have the Maple Leafs, really good Maple Leafs teams, lost
cratered in round one? Yeah,
to a Tampa Bay team or a Boston team that was really good that year.
Yep,
it's about to happen again.
Yep,
and especially this year when you're talking about there was a clear delineation between good and bad at the top and bottom.
Yep,
of those conferences. Me personally. Maybe this is just one of my old guys or my old school takes is I loved 1 through 8. I thought that it was a proper valuing of the regular season and getting the reward. You get the 7th place team, and Vegas is not your normal 8th seeded team. That's just true. But I think for the rest of the bracket, I would just prefer it. Just me personally. It's fine.
You got to remember, it used to be 1 to 16. It used to be like then.
I agree with AJ. I would prefer 1 through 8, but to play devil's advocate, why not 1 to 16?
Yeah, the answer is always the travel.
Yeah, exactly. And now I get it. There's more chances of getting whatever. Give me an East Coast, like Boston versus LA, and then you're in the first. It's like, oh my God, you do get it. Be at a disadvantage. I get it. You know what I mean? And cost. I mean, whatever. I get it why they changed it back then. I think that somehow it comes back to I don't know. It's hard to justify. It's hard.
I think 1 through 16 would be cool because you'd get opponents that you wouldn't normally see, and genuinely.
But that goes against what he's trying to do. When I say Gary Bettman,
yeah,
right? Because of the,
I'm over
I get it. No,
travel's a problem. Winning four,
not just problem.
Don't do the travel. Win faster.
He's saying rivalries.
Okay, but what rivalry is anybody getting out of Edmonton, LA?
Yeah, no one cares.
You're just
about
watching
that.
the same team win for the third straight year.
I agree with you.
And the same thing happened back in the day.
The
same thing happened back in the day when Chicago waxed Minnesota every year. And it was just like, well,
Phoenix.
This is really fun. I'm really glad that we get stuck with this all the time. Cool system. That 1 through 8 allows for that kind of variance.
I believe real rivalries are built through playoffs, not proximity.
Real rivalries are built through.
Just think of Detroit Avs.
Meaningful
there's nothing
playoffs.
Close to it.
If Colorado Detroit was playing in the first round every year, it never would have happened. Yep. But they're in the Western Conference Finals all the time.
Yeah.
That's why it mattered. That's why LA Edmonton, nobody gives a shit. It's the first round.
You need to play series where both teams believe they can win the cup that year.
It is manufactured to be a rivalry, and it feels that way.
Yeah, you're right. You guys are right.
That first round is the problem here.
Yep.
If it was the third round, those teams have won their way there.
Yeah. Yep. You face each other again.
Exactly. Being jammed into, we're in a Pacific Division bracket.
That's a good point.
Bleh, I don't care.
I know.
I hate it. I hate it. Bleh.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that's definitely fair.
Anyway.
They'll look into it for sure. I mean,
they'll definitely hear my rant. We know.
You got a direct line to Bettman.
Loyal pod listener CMAC is just going to clip this. Tip's going to clip it, send it to CMAC. CMAC will send it to G-Bets, and then we'll be good.
G-Bets.
Yeah.
Put a disclaimer about how they should put a team back in Arizona on that clip, too.
We'll talk about this later.
I know. Different day for that. But
Quebec's still waiting.
Shout out our PHNX guys. Go show them some love today.
I was going to do this later.
Yeah. Anyway. Looking at the West, look, again, it's an Avs pod. We care more about the West, just the reality of what we cover.
Yeah, true.
Which teams has this played out the best for so far? Obviously, teams still have to close out their series. Things can change. But you're looking at a team like a Colorado who has an opportunity to close this in 5. I saw people in chat talking about some of the injuries they've gone through in this series. What's up with Jonathan Drouin? Do they benefit potentially from finishing up a series and getting some health back, or are there other teams in the West where you feel like, hey, you give Mark Stone some time off if you're Vegas to get a little bit healthier or whatever it is?
I think the ultimate benefit is Edmonton.
Sure.
Because LA sucks. With no goaltender, it's just not a series.
Yep.
That's all there is to it. As mentioned earlier, Vancouver's up 3-1, and they're on their third string goaltender. We have seen this movie before with the Carolina Hurricanes.
It works for about 6 days, and then it implodes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just does not last more often than not. Now, it worked for Aiden Hill last year. YOLO. But more often than not, it just doesn't last. So I think how things have happened, I think benefits Edmonton.
Okay.
Because I think they're going to play a grand total of 10 games before they get to the conference final.
Pretty fresh to the conference
and
final.
They're going to go up against a team coming out of this central bracket
that's been through a war.
That's either going to be Colorado, Winnipeg, Vegas, or Dallas, who has, if it's Winnipeg, they've seen some shit to have gotten there.
What was the question again originally, though?
Who benefits?
All these series trending towards being pretty quick.
Yes.
Who benefits the most in the West?
I think anyone that gets him out quick. I mean,
whoever finishes the job.
I'm a big believer in short
got
series.
it,
I'm a big believer in short series.
I gave you a real one for once.
You did, I know.
I've seen it over the years. I've lived it over the years. Could have closed out. You don't.
Yeah.
You go to game 6. You have a key injury. And again, I'm not talking about the Avs. I'm talking about anybody. The question was
just ask Sam Girard in 2022.
But that
was like game 3, but whatever.
yeah, but still, like you're looking for trouble. You're getting more tired. Rest is key. Rest is huge. People are going to say, yeah, but sometimes you lose momentum. You know what? You'll gain it back. I'd take the rest.
Yep.
I will take the rust from rest over losing a key player for a series.
Every time.
So that's, again, I'm answering your question by saying it's whoever gets it done quick. Is it going to be, like the Rangers, you tell me they're not sitting pretty right now? Of course they are. It's spring. A couple days off. Heal your body. Go play golf outside. Breathe a little bit. It makes a huge difference. It does. Gosh, that's why I want the Avs to close it out tomorrow. You know what I mean? For all the reasons. And then Edmonton's that tomorrow too?
Man, I assume I don't have 2 days off, but I don't actually know.
Then you hope Vegas and, like you said the other day, Vegas and Dallas just beat each other up.
Please keep going to war.
Just go to 7. No quickness. Just
don't care which one of you comes out.
Just keep going. Which I think they will. I think it shifted a little bit with that goal there, but.
Eric, I want to ask you a serious follow-up question. I know I can already feel the eyes rolling when I ask this question.
Oh boy, here we go.
I can already feel it. But having watched the videos of Gabe Landeskog skating backwards today and looking at some of the other stuff that he was not doing last year to try and ramp up, testing the dexterity of the knee, all those different things, right? How much does it benefit the Avalanche to get out of the first round, hang out, and maybe start to get every day that goes by, you're 1 day closer to
have that pie in the sky to chase a little bit. Yeah.
Right? Maybe,
like you said, I agree. And then
because May 10th is a year, right? It was May 10th is kind of the target date of a year where they said it won't be before then. But the way that he's starting to ramp it up right now, can we start to? And this is purely speculative on our part, which normally we don't do. But I'm leaning into it today because I was curious. I thought that was interesting. Could we maybe start to talk ourselves into middle of round 2? Maybe Landeskog is at least not playing, practicing.
Well, again, I'll go back to that. You don't practice. You don't practice in the series. You don't.
Yeah.
You went out quick. You do. You have some time off. You get some practice in. It's just life. It's just the way it is. It's the schedule. Here's how I'll put it. It kind of makes sense, so bear with me. Like Kovalenko yesterday's first couple shifts, right? Wow, he's never tasted the NHL. It's a little fast, right? So it's where you know what I mean? Where am I going? You know what I mean? Like, even though I love this game, that's all I'm saying, but you could tell. This is game situation. This is not like
nothing
with Ray Bennett on the computer before the game saying, this is where we go. This is what it's actual time. And that league is so goddamn fast. You know what I mean? So when you've never experienced it, like for goalies, same thing, shot release and everything. Like the NHL is a step above. Now, if I switch to Gabe, Gabe's played a gazillion games in the league, but he hasn't played in 2 years. It's not
Yeah.
like Mark Stone last week where, he's
played in
missed.
February,
No,
yeah.
and I'm not here to bash Mark Stone. I'm saying he missed like a month and a half, whatever.
He played in February.
Great.
He was a part of them getting into a playoff spot.
February.
And I'm not here to
now-
make
yeah.
anything about Vegas.
Of course.
It's
very
like,
different. It's very
Yeah,
different.
it's 2 years.
Yeah, it's a long
2
time.
years. So yeah, practicing would be huge. If ever, that would be awesome. We'll have a party. We'll have a pizza party, and here we're going to fly in Frank Pepe's from Connecticut. Okay.
Don't talk dirty to me on air.
I know it's not even
do it
after
to me
dark.
off air.
Yeah, that's fine. But it would be awesome. But he would need like some real practices, and you don't get the real practices with like 3 extra. Well, now you're gonna get some extra taxi squad, right? You know what I mean? Some because Loveland's done now, so you'll get maybe a little more guys where you can get maybe a real practice, but it's not the same until you get the real practices. And he would need some. You need your timing back. You need your legs back. You need your heart back. I mean, it just takes time, and the only way you can do it is by getting some reps in.
Yeah.
If there's no practices, then there's no reps.
Well,
It's
and-
like even worse. You know
Even
what I
in
mean?
this pie in the sky scenario where he
Yeah.
comes back and he plays,
Yeah.
like he's playing on like the fourth line,
he's-
right? Like,
Oh God. Yeah.
6 minutes a night.
give me his first game is going to look exactly like Kovalenko's game, where you're like, he's going to get in there. He's just because he's smart and he's going to make a good play or two defensively, but offensively, he's going to be like, oh my god,
He's going to watch dudes skate circles around him for most of the
But
night.
he would,
Yeah.
be,
This is a- this
he
is a
would be
lot.
so excited. You know what I mean? Like it's 7 minutes. Like
I
he would be
mean-
in the hot tub massage chair. Like after the game, he'd be done. You know what I mean? 7 minutes.
That first shift, it
Oh,
would
yeah.
be him going out and laying the huge hit. Ball arena would explode.
Yeah. So that would be awesome. But yeah, I wouldn't expect him to play a lot of it. There's no way he could. There's no way. And it's not I love Gabe Landeskog. That's not it. There's no physical way you could do that.
He would need to. How long do you think he would need to practice? Like 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Oh yeah. I mean,
It would be
that's
like
me,
a
yeah.
training camp, right?
Oh yeah.
Just
Okay.
To get your rhythm.
for
First of all, you have pride too. You don't want to look like an imbecile, right? I mean, it's got nothing to do with your will and your power. Like,
Yeah.
you got to remember where he's coming from. It's a long
Well,
way. It's 2 years.
And you
know?
look at a timeline, right? Lonzo Ball also got the same surgery Landeskog did. Exactly a year to a day after the surgery, he was cleared for advanced basketball activities, which means he can now play basketball at full speed, but he was still limited to no contact, still limited to not real game situation type stuff.
If you've ever seen Lonzo Ball play basketball, you know he's always been limited to no contact.
No real difference there.
Yeah.
And we don't know how that surgery plays out in a hockey environment. Obviously, that's a little bit different. But given what we know from the very few other cases there are, I would be shocked to see Landy in the second round, to be honest.
So this is why I wanted to bring it up today, is because
Yeah,
we're all
it's
in kind
fair.
of we're all in kind of agreement. Even though I thought the backwards skating was interesting, because that's not something we've seen him do.
Yeah.
We've seen him do like the really slow laps and whatever.
Yeah.
There's still such a long way to go that I don't even. I think we're round 2. We're not even talking about it realistically. Even if he practices with the team, he's not playing in round 2. If they get there, they still have to get there. So.
But just to answer to Steven too, like he's making a good point. Like he's practicing, and hey, listen. Here's what I'll say about him. I know him well, and you guys know I know him well, and I love the guy. Of course, he's you know what? This guy is the hardest working guy and the heart and soul of this team. He's probably skating in the middle of the night. Like I'm just saying, he is that guy. He'll do everything to get back. But my point that I was trying to say earlier is you can do that all summer long as an athlete, and we all do it.
Skating is not playing.
But you come back to training camp and you're absolutely dying because it's not the same thing as if you have someone next to you. Do the math. Like go for a jog,
Yeah.
by yourself, and then the next day go for a jog with somebody else that's faster, and you're like, you'll beat your time. You need to get pushed. You know what I mean? Like you need to, or else like it's hard to judge how fast you're going by yourself.
I would love for Rudo and I to go for a jog and see if that lasts longer than 30 seconds.
Throw me in there too.
So what you're saying is he can do all the skating he wants, but until he has to do that O2 test on the bike, it's not.
It's not the same.
It's not the
until
same.
You're there with someone, and it's not the same when you're in practice and you're going up against Josh Manson, very physical guy. You're in practice, you're going. It's not the same as if you're going against a real opponent. It's just not.
When Connor
Because
McDavid
it's
takes a
life.
step wide on you, it's a little bit
That
different
is not
than
the same.
playing
And
with
I'm
the
not
assistant
being Debbie
coaches.
Downer. I'm not being Debbie
He
Downer.
immediately, McDavid goes by him and he immediately looks at the bench and goes, oh!
And I'm not being Debbie Downer, guy. but you're, this is what I'm saying. What, do you want to look like that? Are you being beneficial to the team that way? Probably
Of course not. Of course not.
And it takes a little time. It takes a little more than what we've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally. I just
and
thought...
it's encouraging. Like you said, it's awesome. Great. You're seeing new stuff.
It's
I'm
still
not
April 29th.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. I really don't understand his injury. I don't know what it is and what you feel like. And I don't think a lot of people do because it's a very rare injury. Like, we're comparing to basketball now because we can't find really guys in the NHL that have done it. Maybe they have. I have no idea.
One guy that we know of is Mark Mathod, who was already
had
32 or 33.
Was
like
not
it was
the
all.
Oh, is that what Mark got to? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
It was the same one,
Yeah.
and then he came out on Twitter and
Yeah.
he was like,
I
couldn't walk.
Yeah. So I'm not debating it, but all I know is he's going to give everything in his power to freaking be ready. And if he could play, he would.
Well, and comment from Adrian here, it says, here's the thing, I'm willing to let him try. I'm assuming this is still about Landy, but
Sure.
this is my follow-up question, and I totally derailed our show to talk about this. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
But
it's that type of day.
You're willing to let him try? I'm curious where your guys is like at when do you start being willing to let him try? Because right now, obviously, the answer is no. But when do you start to actually have the, all right, we're giving it a whirl? Is it Western Conference Final, you're in Game 5, and you're down 3-1? And you're like,
Well,
let's just do it.
Like the Stamkos in the bubble, right? We scores a goal. Was that his only shift or whatever?
Played 3 minutes.
He played 3 minutes,
Yeah.
scored a goal, greatest points per 60 ever. It was incredible.
That's awesome. But it's an emotional lift. Somebody's saying here, like, Randy's saying, like, leave him in the locker room. I agree. I you know what? He's probably doing that already. You know what I mean? Like, you would think that's what he's doing in playoffs, especially. Like, you don't know if you're going to go to long overtimes, So guys are always available. A guy like that are so important. I don't care if it's I can tell you stories of 96. Like, I wasn't there, but I've heard guys like Stefan Fissette, which we got traded for one another. But Fizzer was like, didn't play a game in the playoffs, but he was there. He was dressed. He's not playing. He's taping guys' sticks in between periods. He's running to go get the change of shirts underneath, whatever. You know what I mean? There's a way to make you important to a team. You know what I mean? And I believe Gabe pops in there. And usually you want the injured guys to stay aside. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to be a distraction. I think Gabe is totally different. I think Gabe is the heart and soul of this team. And I think if Gabe wants to do yoga in the middle of the locker room in between periods and, chat the guys up while doing yoga, so be it. You know what I mean? I think there's no rules for him, and I think he's smart enough and knows what to do. And I think you're right. Just to go play 5 minutes, he'd be awesome. Just because of being in there. Now, would that be beneficial for the lineup? Exactly. Probably, maybe not. Right? I agree with Rudo.
I'm way less worried about the lineup here. To me, number one, he needs to get cleared for contact by a doctor.
Yeah.
Without that, obviously, you just can't do it. Number two, I trust Gabe Landeskog to make the decision that's best for himself. There are plenty of hockey players that I think would try and rush back that really want to play. I think Gabe Landeskog is a smart enough guy to know really what is best for him.
Yeah.
So if he's cleared for contact, it's in Landy's hands to me. If he thinks he can go, I'd let him go.
Oh, 100%. We're saying the same thing.
I just want to backtrack and just to say, if Gabe Landeskog is doing yoga in the middle of the locker room in between periods, I just need an ISO cam of Nathan McKinnon. That's it. I just need to see him process this in real time. That's all I want to watch after the year.
Oh, it's playoffs, man. Anything's possible.
I also, if he does come back, he can't do it on the road.
Yeah, got to come back to the home ground.
And he needs to be in the starting lineup, and that place needs to set a record. It needs to split the earth in half.
With the noise.
Exactly. Yeah. It needs to register on the Richter scale how loud that building gets, because I think that would be an incredible moment.
It would be.
Yeah.
It would be something.
I might even have to sneak into the building just to experience the starting lineup, and then I can leave.
Well, if you're going to sneak down to Ball Arena, make sure you're doing it in a Toyota. the official vehicle of DNVR. Look at that. You can use that QR code right now. Enter to win some Avalanche playoff tickets thanks to Toyota and your Front Range Toyota dealerships. Go get yourself a wonderful Toyota today. Tons of different options ranging from their Tundra truck to their Highlander SUV down to a Prius. Anything you want from top to bottom, they've got a vehicle for you. Especially here in Colorado, they have 17 all-wheel or four-wheel drive vehicles. So if you want to take it off-roading in a Toyota, you absolutely can. 16 different hybrid vehicles too, more than anybody else. So if you want to be a little bit conscious of the earth, you can do that with Toyota as well. Go get with them. Obviously, we love Toyota over here. AJ's been driving Toyotas his whole life. How many was like 300,000 on your old one?
Not quite that many, but I did drive it long enough that it had its own driver's license.
16-year-old car.
Yep.
That's a feat right
there.
there.
And then I drove a Toyota before that too. So
just Toyota family out here.
I do like the Toyota.
Whatever you do, visit your Front Range Toyota stores today at a location near you, including AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Of course, Toyota is the official vehicle even of the Colorado Avalanche and the official vehicle of the NVR. Once you've got your Toyota going, get over with Bet365. Put your bets in. I hit 2 of 3 with Bet365 the other night on the Avs. Go put $5 down on any bet with Bet365 and get $150 in bonus bets when you sign up with code DNVR365. Jump in with it today. Get on it. We also have another little special we're running for Bet365, where you can earn a bunch of free stuff from us when you bet with Bet365. Go get in on it. It's going to be running for the next 6 weeks. You can win things like shirts. You can win things like picking Eric's brain at an Avalanche practice, all sorts of other awesome stuff. But make sure you got to participate every single week. It's a 6-week giveaway to win all sorts of that cool stuff. You can do so by signing up with a new account at Bet365 with the DNVR365 code, making a $10 deposit, and then taking a screenshot of your account with that deposit and sending it to promo at thednvr.com. Go get with them. Go get with Bet365. Of course, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast.
Rudo,
AJ?
Do you think Eric would be having these vehicle problems if he was driving a Toyota?
Definitely not.
That's what I thought too.
It's just that easy.
It really is.
Why would he do this to himself, to be honest?
Yeah. We all make decisions in life.
A little bit of Avalanche news today. Not that it's all that serious. Chris Wagner called up as an extra forward since they are heading to Winnipeg. They do have an extra body. We'll see.
What, to leave it behind? Jesus.
I didn't mind him every time he was here, but that one penalty, like,
yeah, it was
God,
bad.
I didn't like it.
It was bad.
Because I said on the spot, you said it, we all said it, you take a penalty like that in the playoffs, it can be deadly.
I would expect he probably won't play.
No, I know,
the record,
I know, but I don't mind his jam and I don't mind his experience, and carry on.
I will say it really wouldn't be a huge shock to me if they don't roll with Kovalenko again, just because you know how coaches are with rookies and veterans. Yeah. And if Kiviranta is not healthy enough to go, you put Trennan in that right wing spot and you put Chris Wagner at that 4C, you feel a lot better about Yakov Trennan in the right wing alongside Miles Wood and Ross Colton than you do Nikolai Kovalenko right now.
And Kivi is on the trip, for the record.
So he's limping around pretty badly, but
you never know. Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, he's going with them. We'll see how it goes. I'm just saying, I wouldn't be shocked if a guy with one NHL game and it wasn't an overwhelmingly positive game. I don't think it was a terrible game, but offensively, negative things happened. Like, it was
totally
bad. Defensively, he was okay, but if you make that little alteration, that's a guy that's played for you. And Chris Wagner, he's had a couple of nice games for you in a spot where you're saying, okay, that line we maybe played a little bit less. Cogliano, Duhaime, those have been pretty low impact guys so far in the series. The third line had a bad night. Its first truly bad night of the series came with Kovalenko on its right wing. You move Trennan over into that spot at 5v5. You feel like it gives you a chance for that line to be the impactful third line it's been throughout the series. And Trennan continues to take his PK job as normal. It doesn't change any of that.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, if I'm Jared Bednar, I'm looking at those two things, and I'm saying I'm trying to close out a series. I've got a guy with a couple hundred NHL games played here that I has played for me a handful of times this year to moderate success. I don't think Chris Wagner's been bad, save the one penalty. And you just move Trennan to that right wing. I'm just that might be the most
logical. What was Trennan's ice time last game?
15 minutes.
Oh, he did.
It was 15 minutes and 4 minutes of PK time.
Yeah, they had 5 penalty kills in that
4
game,
minutes of PK time. He was just over 10. He was 10 or 11 at even strength.
I love the guy. You guys know that. Like, and what I was going to say is I thought he was – I didn't even pay attention. I forgot about the PK, But I think Duhaime was at 7, Cogs at, something like that, right?
They were last game yesterday. They were actually the fourth line actually played more than Colton's line. It was actually
including special teams.
They were right there in the same area because they scaled it back with Colton because that line just played like shit.
Mileswood was bad.
Well, I was going to say about Trennan, like he's got giddy up in his game, and I'll tell you one thing.
Holy lordy!
It's like it's Huntingville, right? He goes.
Yeah,
he can fly.
But I was going to say, like, I thought he was dipping into the low 10, like under 10 earlier. Maybe I'm wrong.
Everybody but him was down there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I can see so Duhaime, maybe he's like, you're not noticing. And I've said it to you guys before. It's hard to play 7 minutes. Like, it's freaking hard. Like, it's mentally hard. It's physically hard. And it's more physically hard because you're sitting there and you're just not warm, and you get out there and the pace is so freaking fast, and it's hard. So, but I was thinking like, wow, Trennan's on fire because I see his giddy up, but he's getting more minutes, So to his defense, to the other guy's defense,
what I would say, and I don't know that any of us on this podcast would like it, but it would not surprise me if Jared Bednar said, hey, I'm going to move Trennan up to that third line, I'm going to move Kovalenko down to the fourth line, and I'm just going to play Cogliano at C.
Maybe.
He's fully willing to let Cogliano take a ton of penalty kill faceoffs. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah, he's fine with losing those.
I can see that. I like that. I don't mind that. I don't think it's going to make you lose the game. You know what I mean? Like
and if none of those things happen and Nikolai Kovalenko plays tomorrow, then it's another feather in the cap of this guy. Jared Bednar is not your classic like, I'm not going to play the young guy kind of coach. That
100%.
Everybody will just criticize coaches for doing that. Like, a coach doesn't want to play a rookie.
Hey, there's a crap ton of coaches in this league that will say exactly in the way exactly AJ does it.
Exactly.
I'm not going to play. And it's true. And I tip my hat to Bedsy because he's done it multiple times.
Over the years, Cale Makar, Sampo Ranta, Nikolai Kovalenko, first NHL games have all been in the postseason.
Is there one more? No? Brendan had it yesterday.
Alex Newhook also
he had played like a couple of games.
Yeah, he had a couple games right at the end of the season, I think. So.
I saw him in Loveland, Newhook, and I was like, boy, what's he doing here?
Yeah,
I thought he was unreal. And again, he's an NHL player.
He had a really good year in Montreal. Yeah. So
he's a good player. I'm not, but it's funny because you stake out. You do.
Of course.
There's a reason.
Kovalenko did too.
That's my point. You stick out. And those guys, if you don't stick out, you're not going to play in the league.
I know he's been hurt for a while now, but this has always been the Oscar Olsen conversation of
that's kind of
the AHL. And when he's in the AHL, he's like fine. He's like a solid AHL player, but he's not banging down the door being like, I got to be an NHLer here. And that's always been.
You got to bring something special.
But that's the thing about Kovalenko, though, is that he wasn't in the AHL for long, but every game that he played down there, you were like...
Tenacious.
This dude is good.
That's right. That's my point. You brought something. You know what I mean? You got to bring something.
Yeah.
You do.
All right.
Interesting lineup choices, I think, for tomorrow.
Wouldn't hate
3 good coaches
any of them, to be honest. But
nails.
All right. AJ put together a top 5, Never Ordinary Bet365 top 5 of the Avs' best playoff players so far. I'm gonna let you take this, buddy.
Yeah, so number 5, tough game 1, but he's been great since.
Sure.
So we're gonna go with Alexander Georgiev.
I agree.
Oh, yeah?
I do. I do. He's been good. And hey, listen.
He woke up a new man.
No, you do. What do you talk about? What is anyone talking about right now? Any press conference you see right now, any team. Use Toronto, because I said I've been following Toronto over Boston because of the drama. Right away, goaltending needs to be good enough. Hasn't been good enough, and special teams. The two most important things are goaltending and special teams.
Look on the other side of the series that the Avalanche are currently in, where Connor Hellebuck has been pulled more times than Alexander Georgiev in this series.
He wouldn't be on your list of the top 5. If he was an Avalanche, let's say flip the script, he wouldn't be on your list. But I agree, Georgiev, he needs to be on the list because you got to be. It's too crucial. It's too crucial a component. So I agree, he should be on the list. Yes.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm shocked by this answer.
I am too. I'm telling you, he woke up. He woke up reformed.
No, I don't think he's been great. I think he's been good. He just needs to be good. The Avalanche need good goaltending. They don't need great. Mm-hmm. To be great, you need freaking shots against. He's not getting anything against. But he's getting enough to be good. Mm-hmm. And that's why I agree he should be on 5.
Yeah.
And he's been good. He was dog shit the first game. It's a fact. It's okay. It doesn't mean that. He should be shocked.
By the way, sample sizes suck, man.
That's what I'm saying.
It's brutal to look at.
He's had 3 games well over 900, and his overall save percentage on playoffs is 885. Yeah. Damn, man.
That's amazing. That one game.
That's what I'm saying. For all the people that thought we were the team in front of him,
right.
It was that bad from Georgiev that night.
Yep.
It was that bad.
Yep.
That it's.
Yeah.
They could win this series 4-1, and Georgiev could play 4 really good games and finish the series under 900 because of game 1.
Yep.
No, he's doing his job.
Funny.
Nobody's not. I'm not saying he's not doing his job. He's doing his job. And you know what? That's awesome. And then I'm reading 938. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's awesome. It's good. 3 games, perfect. But Avs have been freaking out of this world. They've been awesome.
They've been good.
So, but I'm not saying that Georgiev, if he's going to get 20 high danger chances, if he does, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. I hope he does. But you can't lie to yourself the last 3 games and say, hey, the Avs have been dominated goaltending. Like last night, Stuart Skinner stole the games, 1-0.
Yeah. Logan Thompson
was stealing the game and stole the one before. And I'm not saying that I don't want Georgia to steal games. That means the Avs didn't play well.
Yeah, I don't want him to have to.
I don't want him to have to. And if he has to and he does it, it's awesome. And he's capable of doing it. But so far, so good. That's why I agree. It's all good. But I'm not going to say it's Hall of Famer like the last 3. It's just didn't need to be a Hall of Famer. He just needed to be good.
Just needed to be good.
That's it. And that's your job.
Yep. Number 4, Casey Middlestat.
No.
This guy has significantly outplayed Mark Scheifele to the point where Mark Scheifele is now coming under fire in
calling out Rick Bowness and pressers.
He's coming under fire in Winnipeg media again. And if you know anything about Mark Scheifele and his career, you know that he reads everything written about him, and he's ultra sensitive to that, which is one reason why I'm wondering if we don't just see a complete emotional torpedo tomorrow, because I just personally don't trust Mark Scheifele as a leader of any kind of team. When things go south, he makes them worse. This is about Mark Scheifele somehow. Casey Middlestat has embarrassed him in the series, and he has outplayed just about every Jets forward on that roster. I don't think I would take a single Jets forward on that roster over what Casey Middlestat has given the Avs in the series.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys kudos because you guys were hyping this guy way more than I was. Because he's been in the East, and I've always been, covered in the West. And but I'm in love with this guy. I told you on the pod the other day, I said, I'm going to buy a jersey. That's how good this guy is. And he's not going anywhere. You're going to be here a long time. You know what I mean? And he's, when it happened, we said it, he will be perfectly fine right behind McKinnon, riding shotgun behind him. Mm-hmm. And if you're smart, and if you'll listen, if you'll learn how to play the game, how to check and everything, you can be here for years to come. And kudos to him, kudos to you guys for making me a believer of Casey Middlestat. It's been freaking fun to watch. And he's the perfect example of a guy that's never played in the playoffs.
That's exactly what I was
right?
gonna say,
I mean,
yeah.
you know that. Like we use Eichel. It's the guys in Buffalo. They haven't been in playoffs for a long time.
Look at the other side of it. Mark Scheifele.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's he doing with that responsibility?
Nada.
Somebody said about Cheeto fingers. Yes, that's a good detective. I was eating a bag of Cheetos here because I got a flat tire on the way in. So, and I was
Those things
eating,
add up for sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying no. I was eating a bag. I didn't eat lunch. So I was eating a bag of
Okay,
Cheetos
there
right
it is.
before.
All right,
so
got it.
like,
Okay.
right before the pod started. So that's good. And then yes, this is a Calgary Flames. I just grabbed it out of the house. Old days working freebie. It's a freebie.
You're allowed
My
to wear it
working
because they're
days,
not
yeah.
in the playoffs.
So it's all good. It's an Under Armour shirt. There you go.
The details of Middlestad's game that I think have really jumped out at me in the postseason, especially, is the work down low, right in that, especially behind the net. We've talked about his board work since he's gotten here. It's been really good. But you look at the first goal last night, and it's the play that he makes with the puck against Logan Stanley, where he draws the puck across his body.
Just gets through him, yeah.
Yeah, and Logan Stanley's giant. It is the only reason he is in the lineup. If he was 4 inches shorter, he wouldn't be in the NHL. It's just, I'm sorry, but he's barely in the league as it is, and he's giant. And for Middlestad, who is not a guy that you think of as like a grinder type that's going to put in that kind of work, he didn't have that reputation coming from Buffalo. So to see it in this series has been surprising to me. And it's not because it's not a ton of what we saw
in the regular season either,
15 games that he played for the Avs. But the work down low, right around the net, and the way that he's able to play kind of inside the phone booth a little bit and operate with skill. And he's such a smart player that the vision that he has, as soon as he makes that move against Logan Stanley, he knows what he's doing with the puck. He knows exactly what he's working
back
towards.
Across the Lecky. Yep.
The couple of times we've seen him drive the net, those were not, oh, it's open, I guess I'll do it.
Yeah.
He created the situations to drive hard to the net. And this, the hockey IQ, I think, is really just jumping off the ice to me. And it's the hard work, it's the grinding stuff down low where I'm like, he's eating up Winnipeg. Fine. They suck. Like Logan Stanley sucks. But and him taking advantage of them, great job. Against a Vegas or a Dallas where they don't have somebody that's bad like Logan Stanley. Yeah. It gives me hope that he's going to be able to hold his own and be able to make some plays because they're going to go at him. Physically, they're going to try and get into his chest. They're going to try and separate him from the puck. And for him to be able to operate within a confined space like that, that's what you have to do to be successful in the postseason. You have to be able to make plays when you don't have any space. The teams that are able to do that are usually the teams that win the games 3-2, 2-1 as you get deeper into the postseason, and it's only good defensive teams. And that is the part of Middlestad's game that I'm just like,
What really encourages me about that is as the series has gone on, his play has gotten better, right? That's a guy to me who can play in the playoffs. It's not a guy who shows up game one, has a 3-point night, and then kind of disappears for a couple games. Game one,
Mark Scheifele.
Yeah, exactly. Really just okay, honestly. Casey wasn't that good in game one. Game two was better. Obviously, game three was incredible.
Yeah.
But then he follows up game three with a really, really good game four, too. And that's where I'm like, okay, this guy's for real.
What I'll say about that is I know a lot has been said about him and Druin, right? Druin's start with the Avalanche, learning how to play the Avalanche way, the right way, quite frankly. Took him a little bit of time, right? And we all know that.
Timelines are very similar.
So if you look at Casey, it's a little bit of the same thing. And here's what I'll say, the ex-player talking here, like, if your brain is thinking before you make plays, like, of course you got to be smart out there. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're just constantly thinking instead of just reacting, it's tough to play.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to those guys. And that's what happened to Casey. Now he's thinking, I'm told to do this, I'm told to do that. This is different than what I was doing in Buffalo. And then you're out there, and it's hard to put it all together. What you're seeing right now is his instincts kicking in, and now his brain is processing everything.
Yeah.
Beforehand, now it's natural. It's not a and if you're a step behind in this league, it's tough. You can't play. So now you're seeing his skills shine through, and he is good in traffic. I mean, oh my God. You know, there's guys that they can skate. You throw a biscuit in there that's all over.
I
like
was
me.
I was thinking about this
like,
this morning.
Yeah.
Really creative playmakers.
Yeah.
What is the difference right now between Casey Middlestat and Trevor Zegras?
Mentality.
One of them, I mean, don't discount
right.
that one of them's in the postseason, but they're both really high IQ, really good playmakers. But where is Trevor Zegras making his plays from, and where is Casey Middlestat making his plays from? And you'll see why one guy is going to be a key piece of a playoff team.
That's it.
And why another guy
Well, he's learning
a
to
winger
play.
We'll see. Exactly.
He's learning to play in the playoffs. He's learning the championship pedigree that it takes, obviously, with the players that he's with and the team that he's with and the coaching staff that he's with. And, Ray is spending some time with him on the video and everything. So it's important. And now it's been a while now. It's not been a week. It's been since trade deadline. What is that, a month and a half? Now your brain just takes over and you just don't think you go. And there's a big difference.
Drawing the comparable to Jonathan Durant, these are two really smart hockey players that see the ice really well. They're high IQ, but they're being asked to do things that they haven't had to do in their careers coming from predominantly bad teams. And you see about 20 games in, it clicks for Jonathan Durant to this point of they're just playing and they're not thinking. High IQ players are spending the entire game thinking.
Yep. It's just what are they thinking about?
It's a huge detriment to how they play the game. But you're talking when it clicks for high IQ players, everything slows down for them, not everybody else. Yep. So you see it about 20 games in with Durant. We're about 20 games in with Middlestat now, and you're seeing the difference that it makes. I know what I'm doing. I know who I'm playing with. I know what these expectations are. I understand how to play Avalanche hockey. Both of their games took flight right around 20 games.
Well, cheers to that. Go get yourself a Breck Brew, the official craft beer of DNVR, to finish the rest of this top 5 list. You can get Breck Brew in all 50 United States, of course. Go find it at your local liquor store. If you need help, you can go online to breckbrew.com and use their beer locator there. They have dozens of flavors, so a beer for everybody. So you'll find something you like if you drink beer. Go get it with breckbrew.com. And then make sure you hit up Red Hawk Roofing here in Colorado. They can come out and give you a free roof inspection. They'll get up there. They'll take pictures. They'll show you anything that's going on. Obviously, a bunch of weather happening right now in Colorado over these past weeks. I know some people in Lakewood said they got some quarter-sized hail. So go make sure your roof is doing okay. Make sure there's no hail damage. And if there is, Red Hawk Roofing, it can get it all sorted out for you. Even if it's an emergency situation, Red Hawk is available 24/7. So go to redhawkroofing.com. Colorado local company. We love them over here. Go make sure your roof is all good with Red Hawk. Number 3.
Yeah, we took so long on Middlestat, but Valeri Nichushkin, this is just he's tied for the NHL lead in goals in the postseason. You just got to give him that credit.
Pretty good.
Yeah, 2 of them are empty netters, so that's why he's 3 and not higher up.
Still pretty good.
But yeah, he's fine. He has been an important physical force for them and that two-way guy. He's my problem with Nichushkin and why he's not higher on this list at 3. What a bum. Is just that I think that sometimes the impact has kind of been a little iffy from period to period.
Not to spoil it, but I think there has been a guy on this list that has had more defensive impact than Val. And that was not the expectation going in. Not that Val's been bad.
Yeah.
But there's just a guy who's having more impact on that side of the ice.
Absolutely. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, he's
a pretty straightforward one.
He's scored goals. He's been good. He's a two-way guy. He's helped tie that top line together. You'll notice Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen aren't on this list, despite their point production.
And they shouldn't be, in my opinion.
They have just been okay for so much of this series.
2 superstars that are racking up secondary assists and power play points, man.
Right. Like, they've had good moments, but have they had good periods? Have they had good, lengths of actual quality play? I don't believe they have.
I agree.
And that's why I don't have him on this list.
And I'll just add about Val is, when I always say a guy makes a mistake, it's like, all right, he owes the team one.
Yeah.
If you go back, whatever the circumstances, we're not going back to that, but Val owed the organization one. And he owed himself one. He owed his teammates one.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that's how I look at things. Forget about the circumstances. We're not here to discuss that. We've discussed it plenty, right? When it happened and all that stuff. So
we did 6 podcasts on it.
That's what I'm saying. So we're not here to discuss. But what I'm saying is, as a human being, he owed his teammates one. He owed himself one. He owed his, the fans. He owed a lot of people, And I think that right now you're seeing vintage Val. You know what I mean? And see how important that. There are not many guys like that in the NHL. You can count them on your hand, maybe.
He's legit on the ice.
What
There's no doubt about it.
There's not many guys like that.
Yep.
He's a weird one. You can't. There's not many.
I think number 2 on this list, a lot of those things you just said are also true.
Yeah.
I would say there are zero like this guy. Yeah.
He's a weird one. Yeah. And he owed the Avs one because you remember last year he got himself suspended.
Exactly right.
For a
humble.
Heads up.
For a pretty key game 5, as it turned out. He did not get to play in that game, and
the Avs lose by 1 goal.
Yeah. You talk about we talked in coming into this postseason. He owed the Avs 1 too.
Yep.
I love it.
He's got 8 points in 4 games, and he's been very good.
He's sick.
Obviously, game 4 he was on a different planet, but
and the goal that he scores, we talked about it last night.
Changes the series.
Yeah, the goal that he scores to make it 3-1, we might look back on and say that's when the series ended.
Yep.
That's really when it ended because it put the Avs up 3-1, completely deflated the Jets, and there was no meaningful pushback after that. The Avs just went into a strong defensive shell and never cracked.
Yep.
And now they're up 3-1, and it's like, hey, if they finish this thing off tomorrow, you look at that goal and say, Cale Makar drove the dagger in the Jets season.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because, to be clear, the Avs still need to win this series.
Absolutely. That's why I'm saying. I'm not saying that's it. I'm saying...
But like
it could be.
Put this in a bubble in a world where things go well for Colorado. A lot of talk about, hey, maybe this is McKinnon's year. He can compete for the Conn Smythe. Hey, maybe this, that. It's already going to be hard to beat Cale Makar for that.
I think if you're looking at Conn Smythe for round 1,
it's Cale Makar, man.
It's this guy, and then I think it's number 1 on our list, which is Arturi Lehkonen, who has just been...
He's been a monster.
This, for my money, this is the best I've ever seen him play as an Av.
Agreed.
Just these 4 games, he has been unstoppable. I don't know that I've ever used that word for Arturi Lehkonen before. All these other guys have had moments in their careers, where... Valery Nichushkin has had... Jesus, do you remember the Stanley Cup final against Tampa Bay?
A beast.
He was unbelievable in that series. You obviously... Cale Makar has had a few of those moments in his career.
Yep.
But with Arturi Lehkonen, he's always kind of been like your star's favorite complimentary player.
Yep.
That's the guy they always want to play with.
The 5th, 6th guy in the top 6.
We've always joked that's the only guy Nathan McKinnon actually likes. But you see what he's doing. You see what he's doing alongside Casey Middlestat. Arturi Lehkonen, I've always said, not a natural finisher. Not a guy that you're looking... And look at the goals that he's scoring. He's not... They're not a bunch of incredible goals. He's scoring
for sure.
He's scoring into some, on 2-on-1s and on backdoor plays, centering feeds. He's scoring into a lot of empty nets. But he gets himself into the right position. He makes a lot of quality plays to build up to that scoring opportunity. And he's burying it. But his impact all game long. If you were to ask Rick Bowness, if you were to give him a truth serum and say which guy has caused you the most problems, it's Arturi Lehkonen. Which is why he's down 3-1 in this series, because Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen still have gotten their points, but haven't been the same impact guys. Yep. If you would have asked the Jets going into this series, yeah, sure. They'll give you those points, but they won't take over any of those games. It's true. They would have said, cool, we think we'll be in it. And then you're like, oh yeah, by the way, Arturi Lehkonen and Val Nichushkin will combine to outscore your whole team in games 2 through 4. That's not what they were after. And Arturi Lehkonen's just wire-to-wire impact. He was good in game 1, too.
He was.
He was a big part of them even having that comeback. Yeah. There's no hyperbole when it comes to how well Arturi Lehkonen has played in this series. He has been spectacular.
I'll just say one more thing on that. Lehkonen, we talked about on the post-game show last night. That's his ceiling. He's playing... He's pounding the ceiling. That's where he's at.
He might be shattering the ceiling at this point.
They're going to need to call Red Hawk Roofing, right? I mean, they need
Well played.
But B, Makar has no ceiling. We've said that before. You know what I mean? So that's why I agree with your order. You cannot ask more from Arturi Lehkonen. I don't know how else to describe that. He's been unbelievable. Where Kale's been great too, but Kale's capable of the moon.
Kale's also been great offensively and defensively. There's been a lot of legitimate, like, hey, man.
This isn't great.
This, for a top pairing guy that's going to play 26 minutes a night, what's going on here?
Yep.
Love it.
The one thing I would say about Lecky, and you guys talk about it all the time, it's the little details with Lecky. They are so good in this series from him. I broke it down in my review video of last game. Go rewatch the Avs' fourth goal, that power play goal. Lecky, his body position and how he plays that play is unbelievably good.
And this little slip pass.
Yeah, and he sets himself up for it the whole way. The shot comes in, he turns his body, he boxes out the guy on his back hip. He's right there ready for it. The puck comes out to him, and he already knows what he's doing with it. And it's a free goal for Val Nichushkin because Lecky's just better. Like,
it's an unreal play from a guy that you're like, that's your fifth best player on your power play.
Yep.
Who just made that caliber of play. You can be as upset as you want about having a PK that sucks, but when you're the fifth best player on the opposing team's power play is making plays like that,
you're in trouble.
You are losing. You are losing.
That's what you just shake your head.
Yeah, exactly. Like I watched Jets media crucify the Jets last night. And like there's plenty to criticize there. There's a lot in the coaching realm that I think Rick Bowness has not done his team any favors. But when a play like that gets made, you're not looking at it going, oh, well, Axel Janssen-Fjallby would have made the difference there. Arturi Lehkonen just outplayed your guys.
Yep.
That's welcome to trying to handle the Colorado Avalanche sometimes. Because when they're locked in, they're locked in. This is also the highest scoring team in the league.
Yep.
And
that has continued through the playoffs, it turns out. So,
yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep these guys off the board. A lot of people want an honorable mention for Zach Parise. He's been good. I wouldn't have him in my probably top 8, but I think people would want him on this list because it's relative to their expectations. But
yeah, true.
Shift to shift, Zach Parise, I don't think has been good. Certainly not as good as Nathan McKinnon. And he's got 2 goals in 4 games. I'm thrilled with that.
Yep.
I think Miles Wood has outplayed him through the totality of the series.
Through games 1 through 3, pretty significant.
And since I thought both guys were, Parise made a great play on the first goal, but after that, I think he was just fine the rest of the night. I thought Miles Wood outplayed Zach Parise quite a bit, games 1 through 3, so I would still give him that nod.
He's there for moral support, right? Win one for the old guy.
Yep.
The Gipper,
Yeah,
right?
the Gipper. He's the
Right?
Gipper.
I mean, it's been awesome.
when pucks randomly end up in front of the net, he can put them away, basically.
Yeah. And point production hasn't been there, but I think Devon Taves defensively after game 1.
The stick was on fire.
I'll shout out my boy G, too. My boy G's in there, too.
Oh,
somewhere.
he's been
been awesome.
Hard part is he's played 2 games.
I know.
But you're definitely not kidding with how well he has played.
Just
Especially
because he made a
that game
difference.
3 was like,
He was nails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He just
good,
puts
man.
everything in order back there.
So good. So
All right.
we can stop talking about this. Do you guys want to talk about Dave Hakstol getting fired?
That's exactly where I was going. That was our bet.
bad.
365, never ordinary top 5. The other news article of today, Dave Hakstol fired by the Seattle Kraken.
Wow.
I think it was Joey up there who asked about if any of the Avs assistant coaches would be on the block. No. Not that they aren't good coaches, but right now there are so many NHL head coaches available right now.
Yeah, there are a lot of head coaches who've had a lot of success that are just hanging around with no job right now.
Yep.
And I know that this is, we always get annoyed. Oh, look at all these retrans that get hired. All right, well, there are a lot of new guys that got hired in the last handful of years here, and that's why you see this huge surplus of experienced head coaches who have had some success. It's not like, to be honest with you, the Rick Bonuses of the world. Yeah. If you go and look at his career record, hasn't been great. I still don't. I mean, you're looking at him getting trashed in a playoff series right now where it's like, great. He helped turn around the Winnipeg culture, but he should
can
not
only take you so far. Yeah.
For my money, if this series ends tomorrow, so does his Jets coaching career.
Yeah.
I would not. I would 2 or 3 days to clean it out, whatever. Let the dust settle, and then I would be in the market for one of those coaches immediately if I'm the Jets.
Same is true of the Leafs too.
So, absolutely. But then Seattle getting a jump on these teams.
Right. They get the first interviews.
Seeing what's coming of, hey, there's going to be some eliminations and some teams maybe moving on from coaches. We want to get into that market first. I'm not surprised that Dave Hakstol's gone. I don't think he's a good head coach. I said it when they first hired him. I said, I don't get it. I thought he did a good job with last year's team, but I also thought, as we talked about, last year's team was a percentage-driven anomaly. It proved to be very true based on years 1 and 3 with not significantly different rosters. There just weren't enough changes on the roster for you to say, why are these 2 years, which one of these is real? I don't think he's a very good head coach. And I think he's where he belongs now, looking for a job, maybe as an assistant somewhere, or he can go back to college. I just don't think he can handle this level.
Extremely non-inclusive list of coaches that are out there potentially. Berube, Granato, Woodcroft, McClellan, Gallant, Evison, Boudreau, as well as potential other options. David Carl just won his 10th NHL, well, not his 10th, but DU's 10th.
What about David Quinn?
Yeah, sure. Quinn's available too.
Yeah, and if you're looking at assistant coaches, you got to remember teams will sniff around winners. So the Avs are considered winners. They won 24 months ago. So, but it comes down to Prater, for example. What are his personal goals? Does he want to be a head coach? I don't know. I mean, I've never asked Nolan Pratt if he wanted to be a head coach. It's not my business. But, and if it is, then, yeah, guys like that, usually you don't hear those names in the public, and they're there for jobs, interviews in the summers, and you know what I mean, and they do get looks, and it's all about timing. So I mean, I couldn't tell you if Nolan Pratt would be a candidate. I don't know. Again, if you're never a candidate when you're playing. It's usually when you're done, right? They'll ask to have permission and all that stuff because he's on a contract. But again, it comes down to what's his personal goal too. I would give Nolan Pratt a look. Why not? Absolutely. If I'm running a team. If that's what his
If you're
goals
Ron
are.
Francis, is that what you would do?
No, I'm just saying I would look into that. I wouldn't leave anything unturned, and then just I would look at guys that have never been coaches, head coaches, or look around, you know what I mean, and see what the philosophies are. Like what's your goals? What's your plots? What's your why not? Right?
You're not going to be surprised when I ask you this question, but if you're Ron Francis, do you look at Nolan Pratt or Mitch Love?
I agree with you. The difference would
be
if
you're making a list.
That's right. No. For me,
Mitch Love.
For me, yes. For me, because I would say that I always say there's criterias, but they're not deal breakers.
Sure.
I think you have to have run your ship. Over the years, that's what I've learned. Mitch Love has run a ship in the American League. Prater's never run a ship. I mean, not to my knowledge. He's always been an assistant coach, right?
Not at the pro level, anyway.
Not at the pro level. I mean, and I like Prater. That's what I'm saying. I think he does a banging of a job. But yeah, if you were going to ask me, it would tip the scale maybe because they're not all deal breakers, but having run your own ship would be important for me because I've seen it over the years where we've hired guys where they hadn't run their ship and it shows because when shit hits the fan, it's tough. There's a lot of pressure. You just you make decisions that are wrong because, you know what I mean, you weren't prepared for them or you weren't experienced to them. You know what I mean?
You look at Martin St. Louis in Montreal.
Yep. They allegedly have systems.
How much has he helped them figure it out? It recover from the previous era and try to rebuild and whatever. Because I think from a culture perspective of I think he has a great mindset.
Yeah.
When he talks about developing young players and he accepts where that franchise truly is in its competitive window. And his goal is, I want to develop. But you look at a guy like Jonathan Drouin, leaves there, comes to Colorado. It's almost like the Avs taught him how to play hockey again.
Fair point.
And you look at it and you're like, that's an NHL head coach that was so ineffective at helping get something out of a player that a guy leaves. And it's
immediately has a career year.
And it's not
immediately.
It's not just like, oh, hey, he played next to Nathan McKinnon, therefore good. You look at how he played the game and he never looked like that.
Jonathan Drouin's having the best defensive year of his career.
Yeah, right.
And guess what? What does that do? It's the old cliche. He's got his best freaking offensive production in his career. Because your best defense brings out your best offense.
Right.
It just does. You cheat, it doesn't work.
But how do you
about Zegras earlier?
how do you manage if you're looking for a head coach? This is where I think is an interesting discussion because Martin St. Louis, I think, is beloved by his players.
Yes.
And I think he's really well liked in the market.
Yeah.
Just look from an outsider looking in, it looks like it's all sunshine and roses except for all the games they keep losing. And every time I watch a guy leave Montreal and be an effective NHL player at elsewhere, I'm like, why is this? Why does this keep happening? And it's not all on Martin St. Louis.
No, I know what you're saying.
But come on, that team has no structure. Come on, let's be real.
You watch them play, and it's funny because it's like, oh, I'm gonna take these shots at Martin St. Louis systems or whatever for a team that beat the Avs twice. Knock, 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 knock.
That's hockey, baby.
Yeah, exactly. But like, where are these two organizations? And it's like, which is more meaningful, those two games or everything else that has happened?
Yep.
The body of work there, and I'm almost accidentally making a case for Nolan Pratt because you look at what Nolan Pratt has been successful doing as an assistant coach, and that's building up defense, building up defensemen. Not so much Seattle, but if you're the Buffalo Sabres, are you regretting the Lindy Ruff thing and being like...
I regretted the Lindy Ruff thing for them the second it happened.
Of course, but it's like, wouldn't Nolan Pratt have been a guy that you could have at least taken a long look at?
Speaking of long looks too, like again, what you see in the papers and in the media, a lot of times you don't really have the real true list of I mean, I've talked to a lot of guys that have been way deep into the interviews, and you never hear about it in the media that they were actually the finalist for that job, or, and again, that's where I think Prater falls into. You know what I mean? Because it's. You see right away the guy gets fired an hour ago. Now you have a list of 6 candidates. We're hearing this because it's the retreads of the NHL, right? Like you've been saying. So
those things. I mean, the same thing happened with Chris McFarland.
Yeah,
who interviewed for 6 GM jobs or something over the years, and then the Avs were like, okay, this is starting to get real. He's about to get one of these things. We got to change
our
this.
GM now. Yeah,
we have to change this to try and keep this guy around. Anyway, I just think that it's an interesting conversation, and if I'm the Kraken, this is a sports thing that happen. It happens in all sports except baseball, because I guess it's different. But they just had a really defensive-minded head coach. Yep. They're going to go and get somebody offensive-minded, and they're going to sell their fans on, all right, we're going to try and play more exciting hockey, and we're going to play up-tempo, and we're going to try and score goals. And I think that will help them.
But I look at what their future has. You probably want a coach that can help Shane Wright get him to where you want him to be.
Matty Beniers. Those are the two most important young players in that franchise.
Yep.
And it's like, you need to start tapping into that offensive potential. Honestly, sucks Andrew Burnett's not available.
Yeah, honestly would have been a great fit. Yep.
He's just, I love Andrew Burnett. That's all it is. I just love the guy.
All right. On that note, if you want to go play some sports, make sure you do it with Volo Sports. You can use code DNVR10 to get $10 off your Volo Pass for the first 3 months. Use that QR code on screen to download their app to the modern day sport and social club. You can get unlimited drop-ins, unlimited access to leagues and tournaments with the Volo Pass, and it can be in any city. If you travel, you can still use Volo in other cities as well, as they are across the country. Basketball, flag football, bowling, golf, soccer, you name it. They got all the sports with Volo. Go join them today. Go have a good time, meet some new people, and enjoy yourself. You can sign up again in the app using code DNVR3 to get the Volo Pass for $10 a month for your first 3 months. And then, if you're being money savvy, make sure you get signed up with Premier Members Credit Union as well. They're a credit union, not a bank, so that gives them a ton of different options for you to earn more on your money, including their new high-yield savings account, or you can earn 5% APY on your first $2,000 with their reverse tier money market. Whatever your goals, they can help. PMCU is all about creating a better banking experience for the community. Go get with them today. They have the tools to help you save smarter. And when you become a new member at PMCU, you get $200 just for opening a checking account and signing up for e-statements. It's that easy. It'll be your best money move yet when you head to becomepremier.com to get signed up. All right, we have one super chat, I think, and then we'll be out of here. $5 from Melanie, who says, hope you all are well. Thanks for all you do. Go Avalanche. Appreciate you, Melanie. Always hanging out.
Eric, do you want to answer this question from chat? Have you ever thought about following in your dad's footsteps?
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, it's so pertinent to what we just said. And I'll be very quick here. You got to remember back then, there was a succession plan, not like the HBO show, but there was a succession plan. My dad knew that he was going to retire and just kind of step aside. And he already had it all planned out. And I think this is when Francois took over, right? And I retired from playing, jumped into the front office, was fortunate, Biller and I, to jump in and, touch everything on the organization. And I think quickly you realize that you have to know what you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know what I am. And I'm not that. Even though people might have, because you assume, oh, that's what it is. And I'll use hockey terms. I'll average out my career. So I was a bottom six guy instead of saying I was a dirty fourth liner. I'll average out. I was a bottom six guy, leave it like that. Not a superstar. I was a helper. I just helped out. And I'm a secondary guy. Never been a primary guy. There's 32. I tell Chris McFarland this all the time. Like, there's 32 guys in the world that have those jobs. Mm-hmm. They're special jobs. It takes special people to do that. I was never one of those. And I knew how to evaluate myself. I was talking about Prater 2 minutes ago. I don't know what his goals are, right?
Yeah.
You have to know what you are too. You know what I mean?
Look at the other head. Look at the other coach in Ray Bennett, who's been.
Ray knows what he is.
Yeah,
I can speak on behalf of Ray. Ray probably says I'm a good assistant coach. You know what I mean? And that's always been his path, and that's why he's stuck around. You know what you are.
Joe Sacco.
Joe, I know, but Joe's doing a bang up job and.
For a
Boston,
really long time, he's been awesome at what he does for the Bruins.
As an assistant coach. Yeah.
Tony, right? Tony Granato. I'm just saying Tony's a good, probably assistant coach, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's to answer that question. It's always been that you have to know what you are. I've always known I'm a secondary. I'm a helper. I'm not a primary guy, and it was never a goal of mine. And I'm not saying I would have gotten the job, or that's not what I'm saying. You have to have the kidneys for those jobs. You know what I mean? Like, they're tough jobs, and I'm not made for that. I'm not. You know what I mean?
I'm not either.
I'm made to be in the pie ground and help out, but I'm not made to be in the front.
Fair enough.
A lot easier to make those decisions from my armchair than actually have to make those decisions.
Yeah.
I could do it.
I believe in you.
I could do it for like a week.
You're hired. When we buy a hockey team, you're hired, bud.
Oh, God. Look, just when Max is GM,
there you go.
We can all be helpers for him.
We'll talk one day about that. He would have the kidneys to do that.
Late super chat here from
Way
Richard.
young,
$20 saying, you guys rock, go Avs. Thank you very much.
All love.
That is going to do it for today's show. Obviously, Game 5 tomorrow. We'll have you covered pregame, watch along, postgame, so be sure to tune in to all of that. If you missed last game, we have tons of coverage on at thednvr.com to go check out. So we appreciate y'all, and we will talk to you.
Do you guys want to say anything about PHNX?
I did.
Oh,
Yeah, go for it.
I forgot about
Go for
this.
it.
Yeah,
No, you're
all
fine.
good.
Yeah, so today was the last day of our PHNX Coyotes pod. Obviously, with the Coyotes moving to Utah,
They're done.
yeah, it was just time. Hard for me to watch that pod today, knowing that ALLCITY is a thing that I was here. I was part of day one.
Yeah.
Before we had a camera, let alone a studio and other people to sit and talk with. It was just me writing stories and trying to figure it out and try to figure out how to be in this industry and to see how it got built up and to see the PHNX Coyotes, Leah and Petey and Craig, to see them connect with that fan base in a really challenging situation the last couple of years was really special for me, and I was so proud of them. And they always felt like the ultimate embodiment of what ALLCITY is supposed to be about, and what we want all of our beats to be about in the future. I think they are what we want. Craig is among the very best of the true journalistic beat writers in all of the NHL, and for him to not have an NHL beat right now is a real shame for the sport as a whole. He was incredible at what he does, And Petey is such a hockey guy. And I mean that in the greatest way imaginable. Just such a hockey guy through and through. And if you ever get a chance to sit and talk with Petey, just talk the game with him, you see how smart he is and how passionate he is. And Leah finding her voice over the years. And, Rudo, I'm sure that you connect with Leah a lot better as the person that runs a show, how hard that can be to try to wrangle personalities and things to say and try to put all the pieces together like that. And I thought she ran such a great show. And it's truly a shame that obviously that they don't have their team anymore, but that community does not have that outlet, the PHNX Coyotes to go to anymore. It really, I'm my number one thing. I'm so proud of them for developing the way that they did and being as great at what they did. I always loved tuning into their pod. They handled some really challenging years with a great personality and a great sense of humor and the kind of honesty that we strive for on all of our pods across our network. Yep. We always want it to be real and genuine and passionate about the organizations that we cover. And PHNX Coyotes is always going to have a really special place in my heart for that. As our first branch, our first expansion into that world. And I think my ultimate takeaway from them, I they're not watching, but I would just like to say thank you to them for doing what they did for that community and for representing ALLCITY in such an amazing way and personifying so many of the characteristics that we strive to be, that I strive for us to be at DNVR and what we want PHLY and CHGO to be as well. And any other cities that we move into in the future, and that they don't have a team is Alex Morello strikes me as a bad guy for that, for taking that away from them and from that community. And
all the youth hockey kids, for all the, everything. There's so many people.
So many trickle-down effects there. But just speaking about that, today being the last day of that pod, because it's not the last day of hockey in Arizona. That will continue on. The youth levels and the road runners, all of that stuff will continue to move forward, and that's amazing. I hope it stays, and I hope they get another team tomorrow. It's just not Alex Morello involved in it.
Amen to that.
Because those three absolutely deserve to be involved in this sport for as long as they want, because they are
top-notch.
They are incredible on their own, but as a trio, they were powered up quite a bit, and I will miss them a lot.
Yeah, same.
Well said.
Awesome people. ALLCITY is so much better together, and obviously they were a branch that expanded after us, but I can easily say I've learned so much from those three.
Yeah,
just as the way they cover hockey, and it really, really sucks for everybody in Arizona, not just them, but for us personally, them especially.
I've always wished I could be Craig for Avs fans. I'm not that guy. I don't have that in the bag. So but he's so incredible at what he does. I'm consistently blown away by Craig.
It's same thing for me with Petey. Like, I believe in myself. I do okay with my video stuff.
Sure.
Petey was a video coach for 20 years. Like, come on.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to wrap this up here. We do appreciate y'all. Go show some love to PHNX again on Twitter or over on their YouTube channel. We will be back tomorrow. We'll talk to you then.
We all silly like the mayor.